Arriving in Istanbul by sea is an unforgettable experience. Nothing quite matches the sight of the elegant domes and minarets along the shoreline. Istanbul is one of the world's great cities, famous for its museums, palaces, great mosques and bazaars that seem to be inexhaustible. It is the only city in the world whose boundaries span 2 continents. It lies at a point where Asia and Europe are separated by the Bosphorus, a narrow strait 20 miles in length. Istanbul has a history of over 2,500 years. It has been the capital of 3 great empires, and over 120 emperors and sultans have ruled large parts of the world from here. Istanbul's location along the Silk Road and on the only sea route between the Black Sea and the Mediterranean has for centuries drawn a mixture of people to the city. This continues today, and the population has grown to 13 million, and the number is still expanding each year. It's a city of contrasts. It is a fascinating blend of Eastern and Western cultures. It is where donkey carts coexist with shiny BMWs. This makes it one of the world's most popular tourist destinations. Its most popular tourist attractions are in the historic center. One of the biggest draws is the Sultanahmet Mosque, more widely known as the Blue Mosque. It is the unique minarets, 6 in total, that often first identify it for viewers. As you approach, the beauty of the place is increasingly obvious. The eye-catching portico around the building is topped with semi-domes and supported by marble columns. First view of the interior is breathtaking. The dome is supported by huge elephantine columns. The extraordinary height of the dome allows for an unusual number of windows, which help to illuminate the rich tiling and multitude of precious stones in the decorations. There are in total 260 windows flooding light everywhere. Completed in 1666, it became known as the Blue Mosque, as blue is the predominant color in the thousands of tiles that decorate the walls and the dome. Although still an active mosque, it is freely open to thousands of tourists that come to admire this architectural wonder. In earlier times, worshippers considered this to be the starting point for the pilgrimage to Mecca. A short distance away from the Blue Mosque is one of the most famous structures in the world, the Hagia Sophia. It is hard to grasp, but it was built nearly 1,500 years ago in the year 537. At that time in history, it was considered to be the largest enclosed space in the world. It was built by Emperor Justinian to illustrate at the time the strength and wealth of his empire. When standing and gazing upward into the massive dome with daylight piercing through the small windows, visitors can catch glimpses of the sparkling mosaics. It becomes easy to understand why this is one of the most inspiring buildings on earth. The Hagia Sophia is a monument to the Byzantine and Ottoman empires. For nearly 1,000 years it was a Christian cathedral. When the city was captured by the Ottoman Turks in 1453, it was converted to a mosque. The building was changed by the addition of many Islamic features, but a surprising number of the holy relics and mosaics from the Christian era were left untouched. In 1931, the Turkish Republic preserved it as a museum, which it continues to be today. It is fascinating to consider that this magnificent structure and its wonderful contents have survived earthquakes, torching by rebels, and the plundering of marauding crusaders. Numerous beautiful mosaics from the Christian era which were plastered over have been uncovered and fully restored. This depicts the Virgin Mary and Child, was produced in the 9th century. It is the oldest mosaic to be found in the building. Of interest is another mosaic which is over the southwest entrance. It portrays the original builders of the church, Emperors Constantine and Justinian, proclaiming them as saints in the company of the Virgin Mary. Similar effort and care is given to the Islamic art and calligraphy to maintain a balance between the Christian and Islamic cultures. Hagia Sophia is an astonishing building. Its age, its daring design, and the richness of its priceless decorations make it a treasure of antiquity that continues to draw thousands of visitors to it year after year. A visit to Istanbul would not be complete without a visit to one of its many markets. A standout among them is the famous spice market. On entering, your nostrils immediately pick up the overwhelming scent of hundreds of spices and herbs. In the 90 stalls within the market there are many other edibles for sale, such as nuts, honeycomb, cheeses, and Turkish delight. Tourists are now enticed by many of the shops that now sell goods ranging from clothes, watches, local souvenirs, Iranian caviar, and Turkish saffron. The spice market had its beginnings in the 1600s. It was first known as the Egyptian market, as most of the products sold here came from that country. The building itself is part of the Yeni Mosque across the street. Profits from the market were originally intended to help pay for the upkeep of the mosque. The smell of the spices, the color and noise of the market create a strong and lasting memory for all who experience this exotic place. Behind these imposing walls is the Topkapi Palace, one of the treasures of Istanbul. Inside of these gates live the Ottoman sultans with their ministers, courtesans, and eunuchs. For over 400 years, this was the seat of one of the world's most powerful empires. These now peaceful gardens once saw great state occasions. An outstanding feature in the complex of buildings is the Tower of Justice. This is said to be the place where the sultans made their important decisions. Within the palace are 4 park-like courtyards. These immense grounds at one time were the home of 4,000 people. The Gate of Felicity is the entrance to the 3rd courtyard. No one was allowed to pass through this gate without the authority of the sultan. Always of interest is the harem, or forbidden place. This is actually the home of the sultan, which contains suites for his mother, children, and his concubines. The place was usually run by his mother, considered to be the supreme figure in the harem. All around are symbols of an idyllic way of life. This, however, was the seat of one of the world's most powerful dynasties, where no doubt everyone watched his or her own back. Construction of the palace began in 1459 on the order of Sultan Mehmed II, who had conquered the city which was then known as Constantinople. The palace complex has hundreds of rooms and chambers, including mosques, a hospital, bakeries, and a mint. It was designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1985. In 1924, the Topkapi Palace was transformed by government decree to a museum. It now contains large collections of rare porcelain and many other treasures from the Ottoman period, including sacred relics of the Prophet Muhammad. The palace includes many forms of Ottoman architecture, each sultan leaving his distinctive mark. A fine example of this is the Baghdad Pavilion, built by Sultan Murad IV in 1638 to honor his Baghdad campaign. At the edge of this beautiful pavilion is the Laftar Kiosk. This golden domed lookout is a favorite photo stop for locals and for visiting tourists alike. This vantage point provides a great view of the Asian side of Istanbul, and to the east is the Sea of Marmara and the Golden Horn of the Bosporus. This shimmering stretch of water is in continuous use, filled with small bobbing fishing boats in the wake of huge commercial ships. The Bosporus is a historic waterway, giving the city a sense of space by separating the continents of Asia and Europe. It is one of the most beautiful sights in all of Turkey, which everyone should visit at least once in their lifetime.